Moving on. Israeli planes and tanks pounded areas across the Gaza Strip. These strikes come as the White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Sunday amid U.S. calls for a more focused military campaign. On the other hand, conditions continue to remain tense in Israel-occupied West Bank. Israeli soldiers and police were involved in an altercation with Israeli settlers last week, because of which over 500 people killed by Israeli soldiers and settlers in the West Bank since the beginning of the war. Israeli forces say that some of the deaths are those of extremists who pose security threats. At least 20 Israelis have been killed in Palestinian attacks over the same period. Meanwhile, Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez said he will announce the date on which Madrid will recognize a Palestinian state along with several EU partners. Ireland, Belgium, Slovenia and Malta also intend to do the same. Israeli Diaspora Affairs Minister Amichai Chikli has now criticized Sanchez, saying this would be a quote-unquote reward for the deadly attack Hamas carried out in Israel last year. Our next report brings you the details.
Residents said Israeli planes and tanks pounded areas across the Gaza Strip on Sunday. Over 24 Palestinians were killed in the enclave, most of them in a strike on a house in Nusayrat in the central Gaza Strip, according to Gaza health officials and Hamas. Abu Khaled Monez lives near the house that was hit.
The house was flattened to earth and the entire square around it. Where we are has been destroyed. We have martyrs, the entire house with everyone inside. No one survived except a young boy aged 8 or 9 months.
The strikes came as White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan met Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu amid US calls for a more focused military campaign. Washington worries for the hundreds of thousands of displaced Palestinians sheltering in the southern Gaza city of Rafah, and has cited a need not just to evacuate them, but also to ensure adequate alternative accommodation. Israel has been pushing into the city that it says is the last bastion of Hamas forces. For many, it was one of their few remaining places of refuge. Speaking to Reuters on Friday, Rafah resident Majid Omran said his family had fled and returned to what was left of their home in the southern city of Khan Yunis. Across the Gaza Strip there is no safety, he said. We took our children, grandchildren and daughters and we came and lived above the rubble of our home because there is no place to take refuge here. Israeli forces also pushed deeper into the narrow alleyways of Jabalia in northern Gaza overnight and into Sunday. The Israeli military has said its operations in Jabalia, the largest of Gaza's 8 historic refugee camps, are precise and meant to stop Hamas from re-establishing its grip there. According to Israeli tallies, the October 7th Hamas assault on Israel that sparked the war killed 1,200 people. More than 35,300 Palestinians have been killed in Israeli strikes since then, according to the enclave's health ministry. Aid agencies have warned of widespread hunger in Gaza and shortages of fuel and medical supplies.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.